Hello Capcom Unity, this is Gregaman reporting live from GamesCom 2012 right here in Cologne, Germany. I'm joined by special guest producer Andrew Szymanski, who is working on Lost Planet 3. And we're going to show you some Lost Planet 3. Also off camera is creative director Oguro-san, who you guys may remember from previous Lost Planet titles and also previous interviews. And he's going to be piloting for this, this little display.
That's correct.
So what are we going to take a look at today?
Well, I thought we would start with the trailer. How does that sound?
That does sound good.
This is our brand new trailer that we just released at our press conference here at Gamescom 2 days ago. And it's since gone live, and it's got pretty much majority of new stuff dealing with sort of the greater mysteries of LP3 and showing off some of our new enemies that we'll also be seeing in the trailer. I'm sorry, in the game.
Right. All right, let's do it to it.
That's as close as it's going to get.
I can hear it.
Welcome to EDN3, Jim.
Hey, beautiful. I'd love to say that I'm getting used to it, that the cold is growing on me, but it ain't.
Nevik believes this can solve the energy crisis on Earth?
I believe it can.
There's something the old man's not telling us.
Believe me, James, this place has secrets.
What the? What are you doing?
Boss, we have a saboteur in the base.
This place. They told me we were the only ones on this planet.
I don't know if that's going to be any better, but we can try.
Try. Let's have a look. There you have it, guys. A lot of action, a lot of intrigue. We've been fiddling around with these newfangled European headset mics a little bit.
Yeah, no kidding.
But we'll get it right. I think for
just keep going.
Let's cut to the game and get this started. And let us know, guys, in the chat if you can hear us okay, because like we've been saying throughout the stream, a lot of this is new to us. This is not quite our usual setup.
I'm just going to go Bob Barker style. So yeah, we're about to jump into the demo here. Oguro-san will be playing for us. And this is the demo that we showed at our press conference. Just to give a very brief background on what you're going to see, this is an actual mission from the game that takes place near the end of Act 1. So this is going to be about a third or so into the game, so several hours. So Jim is kind of on the planet. He's getting acclimated. In fact, we're going to start with a cinematic that will kind of show how some time has passed since he's arrived at the planet. And we do that because basically we're telling a story that spans many years over the course of the game. And then he's going to get a mission to go up a mountain to fix a communications relay. So let's go ahead and jump in. And we'll start with the cinematic.
Excellent.
Dealing with the cold and the wildlife became a new routine. Intense and surreal, but routine. I kept my sanity and wits by not thinking too deeply about what I was seeing and doing. I got lonesome sometimes out in the Badlands, but music and weekly messages from the missus kept me company. I was making great dough, getting choice contracts, and that was the point after all. I made friends with the crew. They were a right good sort, those guys. Even LaRoche, for all his bluster, had his moments. For better or worse, I became Braddock's go-to guy. It had its benefits. But sometimes being the one to get the call meant you ended up in some damn strange situations.
Jim, you there? We just lost contact with the communications relay at Shackleton's Peak. The dish was built on the highest summit in the area so that we could call home to Mama with minimal storm interference. It's our lifeline. 2 hours ago it went offline and we don't know why. We're effectively cut off from sending or receiving any off-world communications. I need you to check it out.
So we're seeing Jim here as he's going off. He's got to go up to the top of the mountain and fix this relay. And we're going to start by going through this wasp nest. This is the only way to get to the top of the mountain. And this is introducing one of our new enemy types, the fire wasp, which you're going to see here in just a moment. So obviously this is a flying enemy, and it's also got a projectile it'll try to flank you, and then it can also come and kind of stab you with that stinger as well. Okay. And now Ogoro-san's using our new cover system. This is actually the first time we're showing the cover system. Yeah. You know, we're not a military shooter. You're fighting creatures for the most of the time. So the cover is not meant to be the kind of key mechanic. It's mainly to give you options. So if you need to take a breather to reload, or if you're in a situation where you're fighting a lot of enemies that are shooting projectiles at you, it just gives you a chance. Now you could do it classic Lost Planet style, and just roll and dodge, you know, and do it that way. We don't force you into cover, but we just want to give people options to use that.
Just to give you a little flexibility.
Exactly.
And especially, it looks like in this area, some of the enemies respawn from those hives.
That's right.
And I would think that having cover would actually be very useful in a situation like that where they're really a suppressive force.
Yep. No, totally. You can see here that we're fighting a lot of the wasps here, and as you mentioned, there's these spawners at several areas in the map, they'll just keep spawning, so you've got to take out those spawners first in order to be able to get here properly. Right. Ogoro-san pulling out the pistol. He's also got the shotgun. He's using an assault rifle right now. That's for the medium to long range. That's the best thing to do. Yeah. Now this is struggle mode, which we've talked about in the past. All of our smaller acrid have it. And it's basically when you're in a situation in which, you know, basically you're low on health, all the enemies will come and kind of pounce on you. And you've got to use the reticle to aim for their weak spot and stab them. So, you know, we want to do some really kind of close quarter stuff, but what we didn't want to do is turn it into like a pure QTE where you're just mashing buttons. Aiming and pulling the trigger is something we wanted to keep, you know, consistent throughout every aspect of the game. Yeah, I like that it's still a skill-based moment, you know. It's not just sort of this arbitrary thing where a button prompt appears on screen and you don't really know why it's that button. Yep. It still feels very much like you're in control. So you can see Ogoro-san taking out some of the spawners as he goes along here. Using the shotgun now for close quarters. That'll take these guys out in one hit. That's useful. As we mentioned in previous demos, you can carry 3 weapons at any given time. Okay. Two that you can swap out, and then you've always got the pistol as a backup. That's got infinite ammo. And what is it he's picking up here? This is the thermal energy, you know, in previous Lost Planet games, it was kind of used to keep you alive. Here, you know, we really want to keep we want to allow you to explore and not have to worry about this kind of counter ticking down on the screen. So Thermal energy is going to be used actually as a currency that you can use to get upgrades and stuff.
Great.
So we're seeing here a fade to the top of the mountain. In the full game, you actually have to start at the bottom of the mountain and work your way all the way up. But since this is obviously a show demo, we're warping to the top of the map here.
Gotcha.
Show you some of the cool stuff that happens at the top of the mountain. Some more of our Vista shots.
The game does a really great job in comparison to the previous two of sort of keeping the areas very distinct, which I think is a challenging thing to do when you're in an icy terrain where, the majority of your background is going to be snow-covered.
We just saw there one of the little hints at sort of the larger mysteries in the game. We've come to repair this comm tower, and we're finding out now it's been sabotaged by somebody, and that's not supposed to happen. Jim does not know this person, so actually we're going to have a little exchange here between Jim and his base commander.
This is Peyton. Listen, I don't know how else to say this, but I'm gonna have a saboteur.
Saboteur? Jim, no offense. You're not supposed to go stir-crazy until you've been here at least a year.
I'm serious, boss. Somebody was out.
All right, Jim, I believe you. First things first. Head into the relay station, raise the satellite dish, and call up the tram.
So as we can tell from that exchange there, the foreman on the base, Braddock, is telling Jim, hey, you know what, you got to be seeing things, everyone's accounted for.
Yeah.
Jim's not a dummy, he knows what he saw. So, we're hinting at a lot of the stuff here that we're going to be showing even more, and of course is going to play a big part in the game, which is, there's not supposed to be humans besides Jim and his buddies. What's going on here? What does that mean? So here, we've come to repair this communications relay. We can see a smaller satellite dish here, but that's actually only the transmitting part of the relay. He's going to flip this lever here to finish the job for the entire thing.
Attention, unlocking suspension lines and raising the comm dish.
And that is the full extent of the communications relay that's used to call home to Earth, so to speak. Now, another important thing to note here, a lot of people who have been following the game know about the utility rig vehicle.
Yeah.
In this particular level, when you walk up to the base of the mountain, you're in your rig, you actually attach it to this gondola system, which is also malfuncting. And then as Jim climbs the mountain, he repairs the gondola system. At this point in the demo, we haven't shown it, but he's come all the way up the mountain and repaired the gondola. So he's calling the rig up now from the bottom of the mountain to come join him. It's going to take a few minutes to show up. Now this is one of our other new acrid enemies. This is a Cat L, large size acrid, and this is called the Spitter. And it's sort of a scorpion type of creature that, of course, trying to get you with that giant stinger on its tail, and it also kind of spits this poison at you as well, hence the name. And as with all the other acrid, you've got to try to hit the core, which is that glowing orange spot, in order to do damage to it.
Classic.
Now that goop Jim will immobilize him, so you got to avoid that. But it provides a good opportunity to try to attack. So as with all classic boss fights, it's kind of about learning patterns, but it's also about figuring out the times when it's a good opportunity to strike in the times when you should be on the defensive, so to speak.
Seems to have scared him off now.
Yep, seems to have scared him off. He's going to go lick his wounds a little bit, but that's actually good timing for us because the rig is on its way up here on the mountain. So if we can grab that rig, we'll be able to take it on with something its own size.
Sort of seeing the fruits of his labor previously.
Exactly. This is once again showing the dichotomy of our gameplay. The third-person on-foot shooting segments that are, very much sort of TPS gameplay that we've seen up to this point in the franchise. And then when you get in the rig, you're in that first-person melee combat, using that giant construction machine to rip your enemies apart. We're going to go ahead and jump in that rig now.
Using the Kern retractors there.
Using the Kern, all right, you remembered. I like it. This is actually a great opportunity for us to show off another thing that we're showing for the first time, which is the winch. And this allows you to take the claw arm. It's an upgrade to the utility rig that upgrades its claw arm so that basically you're able to fire that almost like a projectile. Now, against smaller enemies like the Wasp, it's a one-hit kill. Against larger enemies, you can grab onto them and then reel them in. And the other great thing about this is it can also be used in the environment. So there'll be areas in the environment where you can latch onto them with the winch, and then Jim will use it as a zip line. So it's sort of a Metroid style, power up and you unlock new areas sort of mechanic. It's something we really love, so we want to do that as well.
I really love how the rig. It's almost like a steed, He almost has sort of a relationship with it, like a truck,
So now we're having the opportunity to take the spitter on inside the rig. Of course, Oguro-san is a master player, so he's able to do the parry attack. When you get attacked, you have a window in which you can parry. And so that's sort of an advanced technique that people can learn. The other option with this guy is you can bash him to death. You can bash him here, that'll stun him, and then you can go in and grab the tail. So once again, you're trying to learn, all the different techniques that you need in order to be able to take out the enemies.
Lots of options. And so you could still get out of the rig at this point and
That's correct. That's great. You can grab the tail, get out of the rig, and shoot it while it's struggling. There are very few times in the game where we're not giving you some sort of choice about what you can do.
Excellent.
And that's really something that we wanted to strive for with this. Ouch. All right.
Got him on the ropes.
All right, Oguro-san was successful in taking out his tail, which is, of course, his main method of attack. So now it's just about smacking him down into submission and then going in for the kill. So let's go in for the kill here with the drill. And yeah, there you go.
You can winch through him and break him to pieces.
Yep. That winch is fun. Using it on little enemies, like even the enemies that aren't that tough on foot. First of all, you get in the rig, you can literally stomp them with the rig's feet, but you can also throw that winch down and just
sort of pulverize them
like popping grapes, So this is the reason we need to get the rig out here, because we need to grab on and adjust the transmitter antenna here. He's actually, you can't see the controller, but he actually grabs on with the left trigger and then uses the left stick and rotates it. So once again, we're always trying to keep the movement as close as possible.
Yeah, really put you in the shoes of Jim.
So this is a little cinematic here that gives a little more. Everything is not as it seems for Jim. So we haven't shown this anywhere actually. So world exclusive.
There you have it, guys.
Dr. Roman?
Drop your weapon.
Whoa, easy now, Doc.
Who are you? Where'd you come from?
I'm Jim Payton. Just here to check
Where
up.
from?
Coronis. What the hell, lady? Where else would I be from? Braddock sent me.
I know you.
Right. He came down with that creepy fella you don't like, with the big head. Just hitching a ride, I swear. Barely know the guy. You may be done aiming things at me now?
Braddock sent you?
I want to make sure you're okay. See if you needed any help.
Touching concern after all these months. To what do I owe such an excess of caution?
Might ask the same, Shotgun Sally.
You've seen it then, haven't you?
It?
Someone in the distance. Watching.
Hard to know what I saw. You say folks start to crack up. Out here in the white too long?
Perhaps. Do you feel cracked?
Can't say as I do.
Then there's something the old man's not telling us. You realize that?
Trying not to.
I know how it is. You didn't come here to ask questions. But believe me, James, this place has secrets. Keep your eyes open, or they'll sneak up on you when you least expect it.
It's no good now, I'm gonna stop. I'm just here to do a job.
That's convenient. I've got one for you.
So that was Dr. Roman, who's a brand new character that we're showing for the first time, and as you could tell by that little piece of dialogue there at the end, she actually becomes one of Jim's mission givers. She's a scientist that will give Jim some of his missions, and so just a little tease for all the fans out there to show a little bit some of the mysteries. You know, Jim, at this point in the game, you know, when you're a few hours in, Jim is like, I just want to do my work, I want to earn my pay, you know, I want to support my family, I don't want to get involved with all this stuff that's going on. I don't want politics, I don't want mysteries, but as we all know, this is a game, right? He's the main character, so he's not going to have a choice, but that's just a great way to kind of introduce the fact that, you know, Nevik's hiding something from Jim. What a surprise, Nevik hiding something.
Yeah, who would have thought? Well, yeah, that along with a lot of questions we've been getting in the chat about the data posts actually raises a good point about the fundamental premise of this game being set before the previous two games. You know, so can you talk a little bit about data posts? For those who don't know, in the previous games, those are these posts that you find throughout the game, and you activate them, and they create they sort of fill out your map. They also heal you. But I understand that in this game, since you're sort of this pioneer character, you're actually the one who sets those up to begin with.
That's right. Well, the first two games, if you recall, as you're wandering through the levels and the frozen over landscapes, you find those data posts and you activate them. That means somebody had to put them there in the first place. Yeah. So one of the connections that we've made with this game is that one of Jim's duties within the colony is to actually go and scout for thermal pockets, which are underground pockets of thermal energy. The colonists are there to try to harness the power of thermal energy and see if they can use it and exploit it as an energy source for Earth. Because Earth's in trouble, they've run out of fossil fuels, you know, and so Jim literally will get sent on missions to find those thermal pockets. You can find survey maps in the environment that will kind of give you hints of where to go. Wow. And then you go there and you plant thermal posts, and then that will gather that energy. Then you can go back and you can harvest that energy, and once again you can use that to buy new weapons and new weapon upgrades and stuff like that.
Very cool. So there's a very tangible reward for sort of seeking those out.
Exactly. Well, thermal energy is liquid gold in this world. So.
Well, I think that's a good point. You know, this game, on the surface, I think it feels like a very dramatic change in some ways, but it will also help to flesh out the story of the pre-existing games, sort of grant a little more substance to that world that we already know.
Yeah, and you know, let's face it, we're all realists, right? I mean, you know, I talk to the Osaka team on a daily basis, and they have no. They're fully aware that they weren't able to flesh out the world that they had in their minds necessarily in the game. I mean, I think people look at Lost Planet 1 and they love the environment, they love the landscapes, they love the snow, they love the characters, but they don't really get what everything that's going on. You know,
there's a lot you just kind of give the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. Some of that was lost in translation. Some of it was limitations of they were basically trying to make one of the first shooters for next gen at the time, back in 2005, 2006. So what we're trying to do is take the things that we love and we know people love about Lost Planet, which is that, you know, that environment, that cold, extreme conditions, you know, the beauty of sort of that frozen landscape, you know, and the idea of, you know, the colonists and the colonization and Nevik as an organization, you know, and sort of how Nevik became the Nevik that we knew later in the game. Because in Lost Planet 1 and 2, there's period, right? But we want to show to a certain extent, you know, that wasn't necessarily always the case. And we can see what we've shown from Lost Planet 3 so far, that at least as far as Jim's concerned, when he first arrives on the planet, Nevik is his employer, and they have an actual civilian scientific mission that they're doing, right? So I don't want to spoil too much, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff that we've been able to go in and fill in the blanks, and honestly take some themes that have been in the series and the franchise since the beginning, and really expand them and give them a voice and give them a face and really make it work. So we're excited about that.
Excellent. Can you talk a little bit about what the process has been for writing the story for this game? Is that largely done internally at Capcom, or does Spark undertake that, or is there a third party you bring in, or is it all collaborative?
Well, it's like a lot of things in game development. You know, it's a little bit of both, or a little bit of everything, rather. The core idea for the narrative and the setting is something that Oguro-san and I discussed, you know, internally at Capcom before we approached Spark. Now, Spark had a bunch of great ideas that they brought to the table as well. So early on in the process, we would literally go to LA, sit in a room together for weeks, and just hammer out everything, not only on the narrative, but on the game design, the characters, you know, and everything, to build a consensus and build a vision, right? Because the last thing we wanted to do was basically, you know, throw a game at Spark and say, okay, here's Lost Planet, go ahead, do whatever you want, right? But we also knew that they could bring things to the table that we couldn't do internally, right? And I think some of the stuff that we've seen with the cinematics, the performance capture, the VO, the writing, you know, that's stuff that was not done in the franchise up to this point. So it's about how do you take the strengths of each side and bring them together. So to address your specific point when it comes to the story, you have a nugget of an idea, right? We discuss that nugget, we sort of add on to it or subtract from it. We come to a consensus from everybody, Capcom Japan side, Spark side, you know, veterans to the Lost Planet franchise, newbies alike. We all kind of get together and say, okay, that's our narrative. Then they go off and they have internal writing staff and they have external writing staff that gets to go in and write the script. And then we have script reviews that we go in. And so, you know, it's not about micromanaging them. They have a great writing team. I love the way that they've portrayed the characters and stuff, but as always, we want to make sure it's true to the world. So it's very much a collaborative part.
Yeah, wow, sounds very involved. And yeah, I think that we're already seeing that that's paying off. You know, this is clearly a much more fleshed out story than we've seen in the previous games, and I think that contributes to the full experience as a whole. You really feel immersed in this world.
Can I take a question from the chat?
Oh, please.
They said it takes place, someone was asking about number of years. It's very much the case. So basically, Lost Planet 3 is the story of Jim from the moment he arrives on the planet until the game's conclusion. Obviously, I'm not going to give that away, but that's a story of years. He's there for many years.
Okay.
He originally went there on like a 2 or 3 year contract to begin with. Things happen that beyond his control, where he actually has to stay longer than that. And so what we do is we saw the cinematic at the beginning of the demo. In every act of the game, we have sort of these montages and sort of what we call the time passes moments, where we're showing Jim as he's growing outside of what's happening in the game. That allows us to cover a story that spans years in a game of, you know, between 10 to 12 hours, which is what we're shooting for the single player campaign with no side missions. So, you know, there's obviously periods in Jim's life in which he's doing very mundane tasks, and we don't expect the player to play that.
Right.
But we'll show that in a montage.
Okay.
And then we'll let you play this when stuff is you know, when the proverbial you know what is hitting the fan. That's when you go in and actually
when you're
go and play
shooting
the
scorpions
game.
and such. Yeah.
Exactly.
What about the inspiration for the character Jim? Where did that come from?
Well, I'm not the one necessarily to talk about because I didn't write the character, but I've spoken to the man who did, who's our game director at Spark, and definitely a lot of influences from his life and his family, his childhood. You know, I think we all bring something of ourselves into the games that we're making, right? And you know, to be a game developer, a creator of any kind, you need to pull off a personal experience. So I know that Jim does sort of pull from experiences from the guys who wrote him and their lives, as do all the other characters. But the cool thing is each one of them sort of has their own background or their own philosophy and their own point of view. They're not just kind of cookie cutter characters that are in there for no reason.
Yeah, I see. People asking about huge bosses. Can we expect huge bosses?
You can expect very huge bosses. We've shown 2 Cat L Acrid so far, the Ice Crab and the Spitter. And I will tell you that we have bosses in Acrid that are bigger than that. So
excellent.
You're going to see the Ice Crab and the Spitter are the kind of Acrid that the first time you fight it's kind of a boss encounter, but then they'll show up. I mean, those are life forms on the planet. There's not just one of them. So. Later on, when you find them, when you play, say, a random encounter, when you're going through an area maybe you've already been, they'll just show up, and now it's a normal enemy, right?
Wow.
We love that sense of escalation, because Jim can get power-ups, he can get new weapons and stuff, and we love that idea of something that was a boss 2 or 3 hours ago. Now, when you're more powerful, it's just a normal enemy.
They're just there, yeah. Keep you on your toes.
Someone's asking about the cast and the tone. Definitely comedic elements. There are a lot of jokes in the game. And a lot of those jokes come at the expense of LaRoche, who's the French character. Sorry, French people. But he's sort of the rival to Jim. And he's the guy you love to hate.
Yeah.
He means well. I mean, he's not an evil person, but he's just constantly trying to steal contracts from Jim or do whatever he can to kind of, you know, block Jim's way. And so there's a lot of jokes that are made at the expense of LaRoche. And you know, we have different characters. Gale is a great example. A lot of people remember Gale from the first trailer we released and the E3 demo. And Gale is very much a wisecracking guy, you know. And you know, it sounds cheesy when I say it, but I think when people see it in the game, it'll seem very natural about how the characters interact with each other.
Well, it seems like a very almost ironically down-to-earth cast, you know, which I think is a good way to sort of humanize characters in a series where they've not typically been particularly relatable, you know. So I think.
No, I hear you for sure. Will there be special items for playing previous Capcom games? I don't know for sure if we're doing anything that ties directly into giving you stuff with other games, but we are looking into what we can do to bring in other Capcom franchises as little special items and things like that. So look forward to talking about that soon.
Excellent. Game of Wesker.
Game of Wesker. Can't tell you yet right now, but we're looking into how we can do some collaboration with some other Capcom IP.
Obviously, we're still a ways off from launch, and there's going to be a lot more to announce during that time. We haven't talked about multiplayer at all, but you can expect information in the coming months.
Yeah. I mean, we've still got a lot of time to go until the game ships. You know, and there's a lot that we still want to talk about from the single-player story. There's still a lot that we want to talk about from the multiplayer side of things. I can tell you that we're planning to show off multiplayer pretty soon. Excuse me. So definitely would tell people look forward to what we're going to be talking about with multiplayer.
Look forward to it.
Look forward to it. I always love that. It makes sense, but it kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
You should look forward to it. Nostalgic Gamer is asking, will we see more news at the game show? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you will see some more things at Tokyo Game Show.
TGS coming up in late September. Unity is actually going to be there this year, so we'll probably be covering that in some form.
Yeah. Looking forward to showing some new stuff from the game as well. And it's a great chance for us to get connected with our Japanese audience as well.
Yes. Speaking of which, I guess this is the first hands-on in Europe. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And it seems like it's performing exceptionally well. We've had people lining up in droves to play the demo.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I can look through the window right behind me and see people playing the game, and it's, I mean, it's a huge line backed up out the door. So it's always great to get feedback from fans. You know, I always tell people, the journalists or the fans that are playing the game, you know, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. You know, some things we can change, some things we can't change. Some things are decisions we made for a specific reason, but the more info and the more feedback you get, the better.
Yeah.
You can't please everybody, but you know, we want to please as many people as we can. So
yeah.
It's great to have people get their hands on the game and have a chance to interact with them. I like walking the floor during the consumer days and just pulling aside random people like, did you like the game? You know?
Yeah. Just put them on the spot. Speaking of which, if you guys have thoughts about this, that's why we have the forums on Unity, so definitely let us know. We do take that feedback very seriously.
I noticed that some people asked about co-op, and I did want to talk about that very briefly. Like I said, we're not giving all the details on multiplayer modes yet. But I will tell you that there won't be co-op in the campaign.
Okay.
And that was a very conscious decision. It's because this is Jim's story. You're playing as Jim, you're rooting for Jim, we want you to kind of experience Jim's story. And what we didn't want to do is, you know, if a friend's online, you can have a clone of Jim walking around with you, you know, because it takes away from the, you know, the connection. To the story. Some games that works great. In our game, it's, you know, it would go against all the time that we spent in building up this atmosphere and the lonely, desolate nature of the environment. When Jim's out there in the wilderness, he's all alone. He's only got his rig to rely on.
Yeah.
You know, and for the campaign, we definitely want to have that come through.
Yeah.
So it's not because we can't do it. It's because we chose not to do it. But we will definitely have a lot of stuff that you'll see in the separate multiplayer suite. You know, Lost Planet 2, it was an amazing game. You know, and I loved what Lost Planet 2 did as sort of a almost a shooter party game.
Yeah.
It's like, get a bunch of people together. You've got crazy weapons, crazy vehicles, crazy bosses, and it doesn't really matter why you're doing it and where you're doing it. You know, just that you're doing it. You know, and I think it did what it did extremely well. But it's to a certain extent, there's you know, mutual exclusivity between that style of gameplay and telling a strong narrative.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why a lot of the feedback we got from LP2 was that they wanted to be more invested in the narrative. They wanted to know who they were playing as. They wanted to know why they were doing the things they were doing.
Yeah.
So we made a conscious decision to say, you know what, campaign's going to be Jim's story. For all the people that love to get online and play with their friends, we're going to give you all of that in the multiplayer mode. And so, you know, like I said, you can't please everybody, but I hope even if people don't necessarily love the decision, even if you're an LP2 fan, even if you don't love the decision, I hope you respect the decision, you know, in terms of, you know, what we wanted to do for the vision of the game.
Well, I think ultimately, you know, while it is a very clear difference in direction, it will help complement the series as a whole very well.
Just looking through the questions here and seeing what I can answer.
Yeah.
Someone had asked if there's any sort of save transfer. The answer to that is no. Simply because we're going back in time with the narrative. So there's not really, excuse me, there's not really any way to sort of tie in that character's. That being said, I'm always in danger of giving away too much. But if you played the previous games and you liked the previous games, there'll be plenty of stuff in there that you'll look at and say, okay, I see why that's in there. I like why that's in there.
Yeah.
So it's less about physically saying, oh, you've got a save game, so we'll transfer that to here, and more about saying whether this is your first Lost Planet game ever, wherever you played them all, you know, there's going to be something that you're going to look at and you're going to enjoy. It'll either be completely new to you, or you'll kind of have a chuckle when you see something and say, okay, I know why that's in there. So.
Earlier, when you mentioned that you use the thermal energy to upgrade the rig, is there anything you can elaborate on how that works, where you upgrade it, what the system is there, or is that something we'll see at a later date?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a little bit about it. Wow, something's going on up there.
Sorry about the noise.
Yeah. So the way the economy works is basically you get thermal energy both by killing enemies and also by planting the thermal posts in the environment, and also by achieving contracts and things like that. You take that thermal energy back to the base, and you have a quartermaster at the base who will take that energy, convert it to credits, and he will sell you new weapons, weapon upgrades, and all sorts of stuff.
Great.
And so basically, you know, the more enemies you kill, the more thermal. Wow. They're having a big Capcom. There's like a riot, Capcom riot going on.
Yeah, well, I'm just glad that's us.
I bet, you know. Anyway, bottom line, the more enemies you kill, the more thermal posts you plant, the more thermal energy you get, the more powerful you're going to be.
Yeah.
And some upgrades are locked into progression on the game, but some it's just once you have the money you can get them.
I see. Cool.
Shotgun here is a good example. Shotgun's available as soon as you have the money for it.
Oh, wow. Time for... We get one more juicy question, and then I think we'll close it out.
Juicy. Give us something juicy.
This event.
I've seen a few people ask about EX Troopers.
Yeah.
Honestly, wish I could tell you more about EX Troopers. It's not my title.
Yeah.
I can tell you that my understanding is it takes place in the same universe, but it's not directly connected with the numbered games.
Sure.
You know, obviously they're going for a very different aesthetic. They haven't announced it for release anywhere but Japan yet.
Yeah.
I've had a chance to play it a little bit. I think it's really fun. You know, I hope that, you know, Capcom will continue to look and see maybe if there's any opportunity for them to release it. If they do decide to release it outside of Japan, I'd love to do some sort of, you know, cross promotion or tie-ins with it.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that it does take place, you know, it uses the world of EDN 3, it uses the Acrid, but you know it is a spin-off in terms of being sort of outside of the main timeline.
Yeah.
And it doesn't directly connect with any of the events. That's just my understanding.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not working on it directly.
It's a bit funny to see how we've sort of gone a much more Western route with LP3, and then they went full-on super Japanese with X Troopers over there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, we get a lot of comments that LP3 is Western, and yes, I mean, to a certain extent, that's totally true, right? Western developer, the writing, the VO, you know, the characters, etc. But you know, what I do want to tell people is, you know, Oguro-san here has literally been involved in like every step of the process making decisions, right? So it's not a situation where, you know, Japan is just like, oh, you know, let the Americans go off and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think when you sit down and you play the game, you'll feel a lot of that Capcom feel. You'll feel a lot of that Lost Planet feel. So, yes, maybe Western in presentation, but I don't want, you know, it to be misconstrued as, oh, it's just, you know, they just farmed it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a good, you know, it's like we've been saying about DMC as well, you know, it's very much a collaborative process and sort of a hybrid. Okay, I think we should probably wrap it up here.
Okay.
But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Andrew, for being here, and also Oguro-san, who is, there he is. He was our pilot today, and stay tuned for more content in about let's see, I guess we'll be back at what, 2? Well, 1:30. We'll be back at 1:30, so see you guys then.
Thanks, guys.